Welcome back to the Big Fat Gay Podcast, where we like to talk about the things that are weighing on our minds. My name's Don Marshall, and today I am a semi-corseted corset boy. I'm curious, any of you ever take a pair of pants out that have been put away for, the summer? And somehow it's like, I don't think my body's changed that much. I think the pants have just sort of contracted over the course of the year, but from lack of use.
I don't know what those things do in the closet, but it's not holy. Hello, my name is Dan Oliverio, author, public speaker, and chubby chaser. And today I am a relaxed gray day boy. It is a lovely gray day here in Los Angeles. Still unspeakable humidity for Los Angeles, but I have a sort of lull between a bunch of projects, and I am enjoying that a lot.
Nice.
That's always fun.
I'm Trevor Keyson. I'm a super chub, and I'm also, I was thinking a gray Sunday boy. It's cloudy, it's overcast. It looks like it's cooler than it is, and it almost feels like fall.
Well, hello, my name is Michael Willer. I'm a chubby chaser, and even though I live several hundred miles away, we have the exact same weather. It's gray and cloudy and humid. Humid, I tell you. It's monstrous. I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah,
Really?
It wasn't part of the deal.
In Vegas? Jesus, that's...
Yeah. Well, okay. It's humid for what I'm used to. I'm sure it's not as bad as where you guys are.
Double-digit humidity.
I know. It's awful.
Well, thanks to all of our listeners for coming back to spend another episode with us. Thank you to our Patreons and our partners. You help us keep the lights on, and you help us keep our editor paid, which helps us sound so much smarter than we do in real life. Thank you to Bearskin for giving our customers 15% off with our promo code BigFatGayPod, and use our Big Fig link to give yourself some lovely sleep support and support our show at the same time.
Yeah.
A quick reminder that we now have our monthly or sort of monthly or tri-weekly newsletter.
I'm tri-weekly. Yeah.
I like tri-weekly newsletter, and our Discord, where we have all sorts of communities talking about all sorts of subjects dealing with fatness, relationships, and everything else. You'd be amazed. And also, a quick heads up that with October, or our spooky season coming up, we're going to be doing our yearly horror movie. This year, we've picked Shaun of the Dead.
So good.
Yeah.
One of our favorite old comedy movies, and Nick Frost in one of his best roles of all time.
If you're a horror movie buff and you're wondering why we haven't done Tucker and Dale versus Evil, it's because Don and I talked about that in a mini-sode, which I believe is one of our public-facing mini-sodes. So if you go to the website, you can look that up.
Yeah, definitely one worth seeing if you haven't seen it fore, and always a little fun little discussion to check out, too. So with that said, shall we move on to pop culture?
Release the penguins.
So this comes to us from Variety. The big headline is that Ryan Reynolds and Colin Hanks, who's Tom Hanks' son, have done a new documentary about the life of John Candy, and they premiered it in the Canadian home of the Toronto Film Festival. And so Ryan Reynolds is giving this interview about this new documentary about John Candy, and he's talking about, and this is the thing we're talking about this week. We'll talk about the John Candy documentary another time. But what we're talking about this week is Ryan Reynolds shared this little anecdote about just how horrible interviewers were to John Candy, and one in particular. And it was so horrible, like making fun of him for his weight. Like in an interview, you're interviewing the star and you're going to make fun of him. Well, he's fat, so he deserves it, right? And so Ryan Reynolds is sharing about this, and he says he called the guy up because it was so bad. I mean, the interview was just so disgusting. And Reynolds says, I wasn't trying to shame her or anything or teach him a lesson. He said, I wanted to know if he had a response, because if there was no response, he was going to not include the interview in the documentary. However, there would be a purpose of including it if now the journalist had some sort of reflection after time. And we don't know the end of the story, but guess what?
Yeah,
the footage is not included.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet the journalist did not want to be known for that.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Well, and to be fair, he could have apologized all over himself. He still would have been an internet, a punching bag.
Well, I don't know. I mean, are there a lot of people looking to stand up for John Candy? I mean, it was a while ago.
No, it would be just standing up for being an ugly fat hater.
Oh.
Yeah. The article says that even with this one journalist removed, there's still many examples of interviewers essentially calling John Candy fat to his face.
Yeah.
It's also notable, though, that like John Candy isn't just noted as like being fat and a talent, like separate from those things. He's known as being one of the nicest guys in Hollywood at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's really fat, Tom. That's the story.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if the fact of his niceness and his geniality and the way he came across as so kind of kind and mild didn't open him up to more of those journalism attacks. I'm curious if people who push back more today, you know, are a result of John Candy's crucifixion back then.
Yeah, the vibe I get is that no one would dare do this today, but sometimes they do.
Yeah.
I also think, and we'll get more into this, you know, if and when we talk about the documentary, that, you know, Candy was such a people pleaser, and being a people pleaser in the public eye with people taking constant shots at you. Yeah, nobody can survive that.
Yeah, it's really tough. And especially, you know, we're all used to kind of the very self-driven selfishness of LA and the film community. And just, you know, there's very much that kind of like get ahead vibe. And for someone to not only be in that environment, but to succeed the way he did with the attitude that he had, which was seemingly very much not that. It was very like he was driven to succeed, but in an internal way, and that he still treated people well, which is kind of like a hallmark of somebody who sticks out for doing that in LA.
I think he was driven to please people, and that's what caused his success.
He stuck out because he wasn't doing what everyone else was doing.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So the trailer, we'll link to that too. So they do go into the thing of like, well, he was fat and he was out of control because that's what happens.
Yeah, when you eat your feelings and drink your feelings and
smoke your feelings. And like, I'm curious because like, so this article that, you know, Ryan Reynolds talks about the very offensive interview, removing that, but they say there still is that. I'm curious if this documentary will go into like if they'll connect all of those dots of like treating fat people badly can cause them to like, is it going to be like the end of King Kong where it's like, who's the real monster?
food was.
Yeah. Like if they're going to be like, when we have these figures that are abused, abuse is bad. And I doubt they will.
I think that's a lot to hope for. They should. But I think that's a lot to
There is
hope for.
hope. We'll have to discuss it when we actually see the movie.
Yeah.
I do love that they have Macaulay Culkin here talking about how he stepped in, because that's something I've always heard.
How Candy stepped in to defend Culky as a child,
When his father notoriously was sort of going off the deep end and taking advantage of his position. For people who aren't familiar with the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this documentary really looks like I imagine it's going to be a good look at a person who was a good person.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And if you want to see it, it debuts on Amazon Prime on October 12th.
10th.
Or 10th.
With that said, summon the Eagles. Eagly! Take us to Fat Watch 2025!
So Fat Watch this week is taking us to New York Fashion Week, specifically to the Actively Black show, with a opening with a fat dancer, Frigé Randall, as kind of the opening. She's a ballet dancer. She's performed with Lizzo. And she went viral because there was this recording of her doing this amazing ballet routine.
She is on point. She is on point. That is on the tips of her toes.
Yes. And it's just so amazing.
And beautiful.
Beautiful.
Just beautiful. Like she drifts. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So she posted this on her TikTok.
Yes.
And the clip blew up and got lots and lots of likes and love and support. I wish it was longer. You get sort of a little like montage style cut of her routine, and it just I kind of just wanted I wish I was there, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I wanted the full experience of it, like to see from the entrance to the exit, like everything that she gets to do.
So I thought it was interesting and kind of like a sign of the times and kind of the swing that we've talked about in other articles about seeing less body representation in New York Fashion Week and just in fashion shows in general.
Yeah.
There was like zero coverage of her. There was a point where like this would be every fashion outlet would be talking about this. But even just the show, the Actively Black show, there is not a lot of coverage of. I was shocked when I was trying to like, is there any coverage of Frigé Randall in this show? there's barely coverage of the show, which is the theme was like civil rights and legacy and figures. And they had all of these icons in the show.
Oh my God,
including Ruby Bridges.
She was one of the original little girls who went to an all-white school in that forced integration of 1960.
Yes. And she is younger than my mom.
Yeah.
And it is something kind of throughout my life at various points that I am always reminded of because, you know, it's something I learned about in history class growing up. And they're like, oh, here's this black and white picture, which kind of places it in a point where it's like, oh, well, this is so long ago that everything, you know, it was a black and white picture.
Yeah.
She is 71 and she was in this fashion show. Bernice King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s youngest daughter, was in this fashion show. The Harlem Globetrotters were in this fashion show.
Well, one of them, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just so weird to see such an amazing show and there's like zero coverage of it.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre, but very cool. And
I would love like a poster visual of this, like something I could buy and put on the wall.
yeah.
You know, it is uncanny. I know a little bit about the world of classical music and dance, and it is difficult for a 90-pound ballerina to balance on her tippy toes. Mm-hmm. For this woman to do so requires such strength and such endurance and is magnificent and makes it look like, yeah, she does this every morning. What about it?
Yeah. The effortlessness of it.
Absolutely. And the grace.
Mm-hmm.
It's pure beauty.
And just knowing like what it's like walking on my own feet flat on the ground.
Yeah, she's in toe shoes, for fuck's sake.
Toe shoes. It's insane.
Yeah.
Point is,
check it out.
It's brutal. My older sister did ballet for, I think like about a decade as a kid. And it was not until she started doing point that she realized, I actually, this is not, I mean, like literally your blood is pooling in the bottom of your shoes and you have to like replace it's awful.
And it does long-term damage to like, I was friends out here with an actress who was sort of notorious for her beauty, right? She would not ever be willing to be shot in public wearing open-toed shoes because of her time as a ballerina. Like she would not allow her feet to ever be seen.
It's brutal. And it's not the 30 seconds you're on point. It's the 3, 5, 8, 10 years you practice being on point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It takes a huge amount of dedication and coordination and pain tolerance and athletic ability. Yeah.
Follow her on TikTok, follow her on Instagram, Frigé Jamise on TikTok. But if you look her up, her name's Frigé Randall. Give her a follow and check out the coverage from Vibe of the Actively Black show because it is crazy to me that there was not more coverage of the show, not only because of the dancer, but also like Ruby Bridges.
Yeah, everybody's there. Everybody's there. Yeah. On the runway. And we'll have a link to this on our website, will we not?
Yes.
Well, I dare not try and make a related segue between our main subject. So.
No. We're going elsewhere.
We're embracing the spooky season. This is going to come out on October 1st, and we are looking at the different ways that fatness is used to represent monstrosity in horror movies. And I suppose horror books and other horror properties, but movies is probably the easiest to point at. And also like why people see fatness as monstrous or why it's such an easy sort of shortcut to, grotesquerie. Mm-hmm. And in doing some background, so three of the four of us are horror movie buffs.
Hello.
I'll let you figure out which one is which. But, there's a lot of classic horror movies that deal with this in very different ways. And I thought that two good examples of like basically handling fatness in completely opposite ways in otherwise very similar horror movies were The Thing and The Blob, both of which came out in the 80s. The Thing was 1982. The Blob was 1988. And in The Thing, there are at least two like fat, not main characters because it's an ensemble, but one of them is played by Wilford Brimley, but spoilers for The Thing, just, it's been out for however many decades, but if you want to see it, you should see it.
You've had 50 years.
It's a suspenseful movie and it deserves to be watched unspoiled. So this is your warning. Mm-hmm. But Wilford Brimley determines what the thing is first. It's this alien that is trapped in Antarctica. And when scientists go to Antarctica to try and, do science things, it discovers it has a way out, that it can attach to people and take them over and use their transportation to get to the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. And he calculates that it'll end the world if this happens, if it gets away. And so unbeknownst to everyone else, he sacrifices himself and everyone at the station by destroying their communications equipment, destroying their transportation, trying to ensure that the thing stays trapped in Antarctica. But nobody else knows it. And so they think he's just lost his mind. And then eventually he gets taken over. But it's a heroic sacrifice. You don't know it at the time, but this is Wilford Brimley. Like, this is the fat scientist. And then in a different point, there's another fat character who gets taken over, and they're trying to like resuscitate him, and his like stomach opens up and bites off someone's hands. So it's sort of like,
Well, Trevor, when he's hungry.
I mean, it's not 100% down the realm of, but like they do an old school like cast of his head to use it in the practical effects. And it has like very exaggerated like neck rolls and everything. So it's like, they're definitely leaning that direction when the thing, but it's like, it's sort of, I don't want to say balanced, but it is, it's handled, I think, okay. The other movie is The Blob. And The Blob, I'll just read, the tagline for the 30th anniversary re-release is very different from the taglines they used when it was originally released in 1988.
Interesting.
Originally, they were using taglines like, man is no longer the supreme being on this planet. Now terror has no shape. Scream now while there's still room to breathe. But the re-release, I mean, it's like in that vein. It's definitely in that vein.
I feel like that's something I might say to someone as I'm climbing on top of them for certain activities.
Yeah, I do remember that, come to think of it. That's where I've heard that before.
But the 2020, I believe it was a 2024 re-release. They've changed it to on his 30th birthday, he's back. Bigger, faster, hungrier, meaner, and deadlier than before. Guess he'll have his cake and eat it too.
Oh, yes.
That's also me.
30 years. 30
Two great
years
hits.
Anyway, but that's just sort of like open the door as to like how these things can be approached so differently.
So I think as the non-horror person, I deserve to go next. Just
Okay.
because.
Yeah.
So I've not seen any horror movies, but I was scarred for life by the trailer for one. Can you guess which trailer?
The Exorcist?
No.
Can we get a hint of what year? Just because there's a lot of...
I wouldn't even know.
What decade?
What I will say, I wouldn't even know.
How old were you?
I exist outside of time.
Were you a child?
No,
or were
that's
you
not
an
the
adult?
point. That's not the point. I will give you a hint. But time, I have no idea. It had a number in it. It was a comedy horror movie that just the trailer for which...
Slither.
Yes.
Okay.
There's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Yes. That is so fucking disturbing to me. I'm not even sure why, but damn. And you know, the visual that goes along with that is she's like inflating like a balloon or something.
Yeah. It's interesting because like I thought about Slither.
Yeah, so did I.
Every time we think about fatness in horror, I always come back to Slither.
That's what I'm saying.
But what's so interesting is like she's not actually supposed to be fat.
No.
Moment. She's pregnant basically. Like she's
with all the aliens.
She's an orb.
Yeah, it's a body horror moment that actually isn't fat, but because it looks like fat seems to preempt that.
Yeah, but you know that's like saying that Violet and Willy Wonka. Well, you know it's not really fat; it's juice. I just want to tell you.
Yeah, they could have shown her pregnant without showing her being like comically oversized.
A sphere.
I will say that. So I remember seeing Slither for the first time, but I also remember. Because there's some points where I don't really remember the whole plot when the other kind of infected people are going to Orb Lady. And I was like, oh, there's actually like fat extras who are like, because they're kind of like disrobing. I don't really remember what the mechanism is in that. But I remember being like, oh, there's actually like actual fat bodies instead of this just like
the monster
pregnant sphere woman.
Yeah. I want to drift back to a specific period in horror where I'm curious if other people have some opinions on this. I feel like in the 90s, you had some ensemble horror movies come out. I'm thinking Hellraiser. I'm thinking Nightbreed, where for the first time, like specifically, I'm thinking the character from Nightbreed, who is this large, fat guy. He's not really portrayed as being any more evil or kind than any of the other Nightbreed. He's just sort of a Nightbreed civilian. But there's this big fight scene at the end where all the normal people come to attack the city of monsters that have hidden themselves away and are just trying to survive. And in that moment, the civilian monsters come out to fight, to defend their homes. I remember him being set up like a villain, but then when he comes out to fight for his people, like really kind of cheering for him as this fat guy his body is large and it conceals tentacles inside his torso that comes out and mauls these fascists that come and attack their home. And the other one I was thinking of is there's a fat Cenobite in the Hellraiser series.
His name is Butterball.
His name is Butterball. Which I find to be kind of a devaluing name. I see it as disparaging. But when I went out to like research the character, he's supposed to be like the smartest of the Cenobites and like a torturer and all this stuff. So,
well, there you go.
There's a backstory.
I have a very specific lifelong weird thing with Butterball. And I like round sunglasses, but anytime I'm about to put a pair on, I'm like, am I going to look like the fat Cenobite the second I put these on?
Yeah.
Oh, Trevor, just own it. It's a look.
But with both of those characters, I think in popular perception, even though both of them are legit characters that have roles that play a function in the group that they're portraying, they're kind of reduced to being the fat character.
Yeah.
But if you break down the movie and you look at them, they're not portrayed that way.
Which is a plus?
Which is a plus. Yeah. I think they are horrible creatures in their own right, and their fatness is an adjective to what they are, not the noun.
Not the identity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, if we're talking about fat monsters, what, again, not horror genre, but what springs to my mind is the fat dragon in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, right.
Charming and wonderful.
As far as like a positive representation of a fat monster, I completely agree.
Who is completely out to get you, not, not pulling that punch, but I love that. Yeah.
I wanted to share something that I saw on Blue Sky. So this Filipino artist, Calda Talir, shared this little comic he made about Tagalog mythology. There is a creature called a Bengangot, which is basically like a sleep paralysis demon. And he said it is an obese dream demon that can suffocate the person by sitting on their face when they sleep after a heavy meal. Sometimes he forces the victim to suck his penis and testicles. The only way to escape him is by to press your toe so hard that he will vanish.
Oh, wow.
I
love that. I love that.
I just want to say I'm over here laughing and kicking myself because you just knocked off one of the questions on the bit.
So
I love this.
I saw this and I was like, I mean, this, like, I feel like this is so specific that it must be a real thing, but I'm like, is it like really? Like he's like, suck my balls? It
actually contradicts what I researched. According to the stuff that I researched, it's always female.
Yes.
It's not, there is not a male version of it as far as I could tell. It's like a dryad, basically.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how jokey this was supposed to be.
The comic is very erotically drawn. And
it's erotic and also funny.
Yeah, it's very funny. But I particularly like the toe curling as, haha, yes. I have you now, demon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun.
This is more of a question. I'm curious if you guys have a reaction to this. A few years back, this is like 10 years ago, I remember reading a research article saying that if you spent a lot of time around fat people, you were likely to get fat as well. This is like 10 years ago, so I'm not citing any research studies.
Yeah.
But I remember it was like one research study and suddenly it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And it became like this sort of like horror thing. And I started sort of realizing that I feel like a lot of mainstream people who are put off by fatness seem to be afraid of it kind of getting onto them.
Oh, right? Yeah. That's the definition of fat phobia. You're afraid of fat. You're afraid of getting fat, being around fat people.
But I thought it was interesting, like, since that seems to be sort of a core American experience of the fear of fatness, why don't we see that reflected more in like a plague of fatness in horror, like something where it's jumping from person to person? You don't really see that representation of it. I feel like we see fatness being used more as a signal that this is a bad person. That's frequently the way it's used. Or like in Piggy, something we watched a couple years ago, a signal that this is somebody who can be victimized.
I think we did see that in the stuff that we watched last year.
Yeah, very much
It's,
so.
All right.
You know, that it's, you are losing control. You losing your willpower to not eat stuff your face because it's just so good and then it kills you.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Don does raise an interesting question, like, why is this not more popular? And I think the reason is that's not a horror movie. That's the news.
Or it's like, well, that's funny. That's people will be laughing. Like, that's a,
people
you
be
make this
laughing,
into a horror comedy.
People aren't afraid of that. They're either mad about it or not upset about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm picturing sort of like a grand finale of that particular movie, parodying the Thriller video with Michael Jackson with all these fat people like thin people transforming into fat people and then going into a big dance number.
But I was thinking about, like, so there's so many things where it's like, oh, fat monster. I feel like we don't see that with, like, oh, it's a monster that's just so thin that it's I guess it's just like a skeleton.
I would say Slender Man is like that.
Or zombie.
This is what I was going to say next, which is, I think that, you know, if horror is about fear of the unknown / fear of the unfamiliar, I think it's only natural to push imagery of what is horrible to the extremes. So you're not going to see a regular looking dude usually, unless the regular looking dude is what's scary. Like, it could be your neighbor. It could be your, you know, but most of the time, if it's an actual monster, you want to push it into really extreme directions. And I think that just naturally means it's going to be body extreme of fatness. And I think you see it in, I mean, maybe you don't see it so much in like really, really like muscle bound horror villains. Is that as much of a thing?
I think super thinness tends to be more used as a signature of victimization of someone.
They've been sucked dry.
Yeah, or like illness.
I don't know. Like the Terrifier clown is like this really tall, elongated. Slender Man is the crooked man from Conjuring 2. Like, I think there's a lot of like tall, sort of spindly, spidery looking people that also goes into like the skinny category, in the same kind of horrific way that they push fat bodies too.
Yeah, and when you, like, if you conjure the idea of like a wraith.
I think the difference is a super spindly thin body doesn't generally indicate any sort of fact or quality about the character other than it's thin and scary. Whereas if a character is portrayed as being excessively fat, that means it wants to consume, it wants to eat. It's gluttonous in some way. It's a sign.
Or it's just supposed to be gross. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like a skeleton. Like,
it's not even just a skeleton. It's like a body that's rotting away before your eyes. Like it's literally wasting away. Like, that is a very common horror thing. I don't think it's used with the same purpose. Yeah. It's not the same function exactly, but it happens, I think, both directions.
Yeah.
Like the idea of wasting away is probably associated with aging more than like your body being like fat.
I think it's significant that Stephen King's Thinner is the whole book and the whole movie is about getting thinner. He didn't write fatter. He wrote thinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, I don't know. I guess I just wonder why, other than Thinner, I cannot think of an example where it's like the same mechanism for looking at a body through this framework of like the horror of it.
So for the bit, not to ruin the bit, but I went into a lot of folklore about fat demons. And what I found out is that there was less folklore about demons that are fat than there is about folklore about demons that want to consume fat.
Interesting.
And so like when you go back into sort of more older folklore stuff, there is more sort of monsters along the vein of Thinner where they want to suck the fat out of you. And when you think about it, it is a more sort of tribal cultures where fat was a rare, difficult thing to achieve, you know, and was a symbol of health and survival.
Well, and was delectable. I mean, you wanted the fatty part of the animal because it had more flavor and more value.
That's true too. I didn't quite think of it in those terms, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So it's more when you move into modern times with like where the way you're perceived, where your looks seem to matter more than your health, that you start getting more of these sort of like the flip side of it.
I think I'm now like thinking more about like examples of like how thinness is used and what it's used to represent. And I think it's, you know, I think there's also a lot of like making it analogous to like diseases and like cancer and sort of the horror of a person wasting away because they're sick. And so I think, you know, they're definitely used very differently. And I don't think thinness is necessarily ever meant to represent like
corruption.
Yeah, like if the fat monster is fat because they are consuming too much, I don't think the thin monster is thin because it's not consuming enough. I think it's just different. They push it into a different category of like.
I agree. Yeah, they're not opposites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like often with that one, it's like, I feel like the hunger could be more of the story.
Yeah. I'm curious just because this is something that has come up with different people in my life. Are skeletons scary?
I don't really get why, except in the sense of like, it's alien and it's coming for me.
I find a skeleton in a horror moment less scary than bones that still have some flesh on them.
Is that scary or grotesque? Or
it's grotesque.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
You're right. That is a grotesque thing.
Yeah.
But if I fell into a pile of bones, I would be less scared than if I fell into some fresh
Well,
flesh,
but I think that's the point of zombies, is that zombies are skeletons with flesh as opposed to just skeletons, like in, the Sinbad adventure with Harry Hamlet of 19 whatever. I think like the skeletons aren't as scary as the half meat laden body of a zombie.
It might also just be the fact that like we've seen so many portrayals of how a zombie would kill you, where like I don't think I've ever seen a portrayal of how a skeleton would actually kill me, except for like picking up a knife and killing me with it, which is no more scary than an actual person. So,
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah. I don't think the skeleton of itself is that horrific. Maybe because we don't imagine that. Like, we don't see skeletons.
Okay, so a slight tangent. Like, I have never been able to make myself scared of the Invisible Man movies because I'm like, oh no, a naked, unarmed Kevin Bacon is coming for me. The horror, Like,
Oh, have you seen the Elizabeth Moss one?
The recent one. Yeah, the Elizabeth Moss one is really good.
I've heard it's fantastic. I haven't seen it.
Because I'm kind of the same way. It's like, what? It's like a pair of sunglasses floating at me. No, but the Elizabeth Moss one is terrifying.
Is it called The Invisible Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good update to what actually does make that terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think you needed to do that because like that Kevin Bacon version, I was laughing at it,
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, that was called The Hollow Man, and it was more about his evilness than his invisibility, I think.
I don't think I've ever really found skeletons to be all that scary on their own. I think it is more of that, like, I think that the instances where I've found them kind of like creepy or disturbing is maybe a better way to put it, is in like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies where you see it changing from real person to skeleton and back and forth. And like but it's not really meant to be horror so much as just like it is supposed to be kind of scary, but in like a kid friendly way.
Yeah.
Like in a PG-13 adventure way. But I think it's effective, but I don't know that it's effective without the transition, without seeing it be a real person first.
I think in our American cultural context, skeletons and jack-o'-lanterns are so overused in like Halloween iconography that it's just it's so ubiquitous that we don't find it scary anymore.
It's cliche and ineffective.
Yeah, it's something for kids to find a little scary in a safe way. That's it. That's how we see it. But I don't know. Maybe in another 20 years when we figure out some new ways to use skeletons, who knows?
Yeah. I guess we got to make the first really scary skeleton movie. We're going to figure out how a skeleton can kill you.
And a fat skeleton.
Yeah.
I wonder if, like, in Mexican culture, you have Dia de los Muertos, and skeletons are I don't think they're meant to evoke any kind of, like, a frightening figure. Like, I think it's very different from that. And so, like, like, in that sense, it's like, I don't know that there are a whole lot of, like, ubiquitously scary skeletons, but definitely, like, I don't think anyone looks at a zombie and goes, oh yeah, that's normal. Like, that's fine. That's just part of our, like, I think that is just sort of universally a bad thing.
Well, let us know, I don't know, your favorite fat horror things, your thoughts on skeletons.
Yeah. Are skeletons hot? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Skeletons, good or bad?
Discuss.
Do we have a tip for the day?
We do. So
very exciting.
I'm excited to talk about this. There is a new, I would say it's a bear app. It's effectively, it is bear. It is not Chub Chaser, but it is bear in the crossover sense. And it is called Chonk Club, Chonk Club.
So this is a dating app?
I don't really know if I would call it a dating app. It is
They use the idea of showing up at a bear bar on your phone as the way of describing it. So I'm assuming hookups and dating are part of that, but also there's some additional element to it, maybe?
They're trying to make a community because that's kind of essential to their culture, too.
I think it is really about finding people, and so they verify everyone through Instagram. And I don't know if that's going to be permanent or if it's just because it is in this kind of like early access thing. So how it works is basically every day you get a grid of 12 people, and then you pick 3, and then you can see their profiles, which are very limited, and you get their Instagram account. You can send them a little woof. You can request a picture. They can request a picture of you, but you can follow each other on Instagram. I like that it is just like so bare bones, and it's like you kind of pick 3 people a day that you're interested in. You can woof at them. They might woof back at you. If you think they're hot, you can follow them on an Instagram, and you can also see like what bear events they're going to. It'll also only show you people that are in your city or coming to your city, or if like they visit your city frequently.
Interesting. They're trying really hard not to be Grindr for bears.
Yeah, I like it that it's like, it is so kind of simple, and it's like a once a day thing. You log on and you're like, these 3 guys are like, I think they're the cutest in the grid.
Yeah, I think the bar analogy works in the sense of like, these are the people who showed up tonight.
Yeah, these are in the room.
Yeah.
And you're not choosing like the hottest bears from across the globe.
Right.
It might also help with people who are like compulsive browsers.
Yes.
And, always going back to that well, maybe a few minutes.
Well, and here's the other side effect.
Not that I've ever done that.
I think that it also is a great boost for self-esteem, because if you have a grid of 9 per day and you're going to pick 3, it might very well be 3 you would not have normally picked if you'd had a field of 100.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's really great for people to go like, oh yeah, see that guy? I have no idea. He's into me, and he lives near me.
Yeah.
Or he's going to be coming to my city or something like that. I like there's a nice sort of wholesomeness about that I like.
Yeah.
And community building.
Yeah. And the fact that it's just local means that they're really focused on getting people to meet.
Yeah.
Which is good and bad. I mean, I think we've talked about like in the Chub Chaser community, like it's a niche enough community that you are unlikely to meet someone in your area unless you live in a huge city like LA or New York.
Well, but bears are everywhere.
Yeah, but bears, yeah, exactly. Bears, that's a much broader category.
So to speak.
Just a tip for the tip. If you search The Chunk Club on Instagram, it's like a cookie page. So leave the V out of it. It's just Chunk Club.
Oh, I love that.
How about a bit?
Well, I was inspired this week. I had so much fun going down a rabbit hole about monsters that deal with fat. At first, I was originally looking for fat monsters, but I found out there's a crap load more monsters that are obsessed with your fat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I brought a spectrum of different fat-oriented monsters here.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with the Andes region of South America around Peru and Bolivia.
I love their chocolate.
Where we find the pish taco.
I dare you to say that twice.
It is not the fish taco. It is the pish taco.
Okay.
A pish taco is a folk boogeyman monster that survives by sucking or eating the fat of its victims. We're not really talking a fat vampire, though. These are usually people, right? So we're talking more along the lines of like cannibals with hatchets and machetes and stuff.
Oh, okay. Professional grade.
Yeah, but there's some weird twists on these legends. So the way they harvest the fat ranges apparently from slaughtering and carving people up to inflicting horrible wasting diseases where your fat would drain away over time, or to just, bam, catching you out on a path and sucking the fat out of your anus.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. It gets worse, though. The pish taco
does it?
It does. It gets even worse than this. The pish taco didn't just enjoy eating the fat by frying it up as chicharrones, right? Sometimes they like to sell it to unsuspecting people. In fact, the pish taco are nothing if not entrepreneurial. Though originally the story said the pish taco used fat to make powerful exotic medicines that they would sell for vast sums of money, the legend evolved over centuries, eventually evolving to saying they made church bells with the fat or polished the faces of the statues of saints. As recently as the 1990s, rumors were spreading that the Pishtaco were using human fats to make cosmetics and soap. How people actually pictured the Pishtaco changed over time too, starting as shadowy soldiers in the jungles to transforming over time into knife-wielding priests, then into horsemen, and into sort of a modern version that drives a long, sleek car that might well wear a crisp Italian suit. But there's one feature that hasn't changed over the hundreds of years that the Pishtaco are said to have. What is that feature?
Okay.
1. The Pishtaco has no earlobes. 2. He is thin as a skeleton. 3. He's a white dude. Or 4. His skin is black as night.
I think he's a white dude.
Yeah, I want to say he's a white dude. I feel like this was in an animated show of something that I saw growing up.
Oh, wow.
That'd be kind of wild.
All right, we got 2 for white dude.
I'm really tempted by the earlobe thing.
It's so specific.
Well, in fact, the legend says he's a white dude.
Oh, okay.
Enough said.
The whole myth of this, apparently the Spanish conquistadors believed that using indigenous Peruvian corpse fat to treat certain wounds and illnesses was extremely effective. So apparently it just gave rise to this legend of this
Yeah. And who was the
killer
conquistador who found that out the first time?
That would be a really good movie.
All right. From the Zulu people of Africa, we get the impundulu, a mythical bird / fuckboy that can either takes the form of a black and white bird the size of a full-grown man or a beautiful young man that likes to seduce young women.
Oh, twink legends are everywhere.
Did I mention that it can summon thunder and lightning and has an insatiable hunger for human blood?
Interesting.
Yeah, so less Twilight with feathers and more angry, blood-sucking birds with boners. But the impundulu have a quality that people quite liked. Fat from the bird was a legendarily powerful ingredient for magical medicine. While that sounds nice, gathering the fat was no easy task. How, I ask you, did the impundulu bird use its fat to defend itself? 1. It would burn its own fat as fuel to throw down lightning bolts from the sky. 2. It would shoot blobs of its own fat out of its mouth. 3. It would ripple its belly fat rhythmically, hypnotizing anyone watching. Or 4. It liked to belly flop on victims and smother them.
I'm tempted by the rippling just because I've experienced that.
I want to say the second, spitting out the fat, because that's the first thing I imagined. But setting itself on fire sounds really cool.
I just love that sort of obese phoenix idea. That's just
It's very metal, right?
I'm going to stick with spitting out fat, though.
Tell me the burning thing again. What is that?
It would burn its own fat as fuel to throw down lightning bolts from the sky.
Oh, see, that's got to be it. It's obvious.
Do I play it safe? I'll be different and say that it belly flops on victims.
All right. Well, we're talking about a metal bird, people. It would burn its own fat as fuel to throw lightning bolts down from the sky.
Yes. So clear. So obvious.
That's like Vancian magic, basically. Casting spells with these like
Fatamancy.
Oh, I like that.
Or adiposorcery.
Oh, I get the sorcery. Oh my God. There's my next novel.
All right. Our final question for the day is one of my favorites. This one's a little bitty fat monster that there are actually people around who believe they exist today. The Japanese Tsuchinoko snake is actually sounds kind of cute if you're not snake phobic. The stories say they're from 1 to 3 feet long and that it's basically described as a very fat, normal looking snake. If I was going to be more specific though, I think this is the best way to describe it to our listening audience. It has the head of a regular-looking snake, the tail of a regular-looking snake, and here's the twist, the midsection of a really, really, really big snake.
I think there's something wrong here.
Yeah. It's not like it's a snake that just swallowed something. It's not exactly fat. There's just like, it's like heaven ran out of size small snake torsos and just used the large one instead, right? So according to legends, that Tsuchinoko can talk, but have a tendency to lie and probably can't be trusted. What's not legend is that in the late 1980s, there was a sudden wave of sightings of the Tsuchinoko across Japan, but most heavily around the village of Shimokitayama in the Nara prefecture. So in 1988, a member of the village council there offered 1 million yen, or about $8,000 at the time, for the capture of a live Tsuchinoko and 300,000 yen for a sample of its skin.
Oh my.
But one of the interesting details after the fact is that somebody actually found a snake of the same description later on. Here's the fun part. This little chubster snake had all sorts of legends about how they got around. Which of the following is not an ability said to be had by the Tsuchinoko snake? 1, it could flatten itself in order to slow their fall when dropping on people from trees.
Oh.
They could leap up to 3 feet with no warning. When jumping, they could somehow jump a second time in midair, propelling themselves even farther. Or 4, it could bite its own tail and roll like a wheel.
I'm going with the one that is not right, is it cannot form itself into a wheel.
Michael, do you have a guess?
Yeah, I think the wheel one also, that stuck out to me.
Trevor.
I am also thinking the wheel one.
So we have unified theory that it could not bite its own tail and roll like a wheel. I'm sorry, guys. They believed it could do that. The fake one was flattening itself in order to glide down from trees.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm wondering if this is where the Japanese game designers came up with the double air jump in like the 80s. And like, maybe that's where this came from. If this legendary snake that can do a double air jump when it leaps. I find that fascinating. So, Trevor, I'm curious if our listeners have some epic mythological monsters that have something to do with that, where could they tell us about them?
Well, we're on Blue Sky and Instagram as @BigFatGayPod. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Follow us there, leave us 5 stars or a review there or on your preferred podcast platform. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/BigFatGayPod. See the articles we talked about at www.bigfatgaypod.com, baby. Maybe you are a snake. You're just a regular snake. You're not a special Japanese cute chubby in the middle snake. And you're slithering along listening on your special snake headphones. And you're sliding and you see a spooky house. You slither into the spooky house and you hear an organ playing and you slither into the room with the organ and you see a skeleton at the organ playing a spooky tune, and he swivels his skeleton head around. His jaw drops and he bellows.
Watch out.
Oh God, finally.
What a treat. Or a trick for people who listen this far at the end of the episode.